Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Yusman. I'm a web developer and I make tutorials about web development. So if this is something that interests you, consider subscribing to my channel. Also make sure you hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any content I put on this channel. So in today's video, we will be creating these progress bars using pure CSS, no JavaScript, no framework, just pure CSS. If I reload the page, they transition nicely and they look very nice. So without further ado, let's open Visual Studio Code and start creating this application from scratch. So Visual Studio Code is open now and I'm going to create two files. One of them will be index.html and the second one will be style.css. And inside the index file I will generate the boilerplate, and for the title I will say pure CSS progress bars. Inside the body we will have one h1 which will be basically the same as the title, so I'll say pure CSS progress bars, and below the h1 we will have an h2 tag which will be the label for the first progress bar, and that will say HTML 85%. Below this h2 we will have a div with the class of progress, which will kind of act like a parent that will hold the inner div, which will be the div with the color. So for this div with the class of progress, we will have another div inside, which will be with the class of progress-html, and below this div we will be doing basically the same for all the other divs. So we will have another h2 which will say CSS 100%, and again I will create another div with the class of progress, and inside this div we'll have a div with the class of progress-css, and finally below this we will have h2 which will say javascript 75%, and below let's create the div with the class of progress again, and create the div with the class of progress.js. So that's it for the HTML structure. I will save this now and I will open with live server to see how this looks like in the browser, and we see this ugly stuff. Okay, now let's step into styling of this application. So I will open my style.css and I will do a basic reset, and I will say padding 0, margin 0, and box sizing will be border box. As always, below that we will style the body. So I'll say display flex for the body, flex direction column, align items center, and justify content center. The background will be light gray, which is F4, and the height of the body will be 100 viewport height. Overflow will be hidden. We don't want any scroll bars. and the width will be 100%. Also, let's make sure we have a nice font family. So I'll say font family, which will be Geneva. Which one to choose? Okay, let's say Verdana, Geneva, Tahoma, Sans Serif. Okay, that one is nice. Okay, below the body, let's style the H1, and that H1 will just have a margin of 50 pixels top and bottom and 0 left and right. Below the H1, we can start styling our progress bars with the class of progress. Remember the parent divs, which will hold the inner divs with the different colors. So for the divs with the class of progress, they will all have a width of 300 pixels, position of relative, because we will position the inner divs with absolute position. They will have a height of 50 pixels, and their background will be DEDE, and also we can have a margin of 20 pixels auto, 20 pixels top and bottom, and left and right will be auto. If I save now and I go back to the application, we don't see anything. Let me just check why. Oh, we haven't linked our CSS. So we can link our CSS and we can save, and now we should be able to see our divs. So let me just increase this a little bit so you can see it better. So we have the parent divs ready, and let's start styling now the separate divs. So what we can do is we can say dot progress, and we can point to the inner div. They all have an inner div inside. So for this inner div, we can say position to be absolute. We can say just for the height to be 100%, and the width will be generated dynamically with CSS. We will be using keyframes. And we can say border radius of 5 pixels for this one. With that, if I save now, we won't notice anything except that we will be able to see them when we style separately each inner div. So for the inner div, which is with the class of progress-html, that one will have a background of green, and the width of this will be 85%, and the animation which we'll be using will be animation. The name of the animation will be fill-html, and I will give it a 0.6 seconds ease transition. If I save this now and I go back, we'll see our progress, which right now is static. It's not dynamic, but we'll be using keyframes. You'll see how we will do this. Then below this, we will start styling our progress-css, which will have a background of red. The width will be 100%, and the animation again will be fill css 0.8 seconds this time, because I want the second one to transition a little bit later than the first one, and I will give it the same effect with ease. And below this we can do progress dash JS, and for this one the background will be yellow. Width, if I don't remember wrongly, will be 75%, and the animation will be called fill JS, and that one will be 1 second ease. If I save this now and I go back, we'll be seeing our progress bars with the color inside, and we exactly see how much width we gave them. Now, the funny part with the keyframes, so in order to make those inner divs move dynamically from 0 to the percentage we want, the desired percentage we want, we have to use keyframes. So we can do this by saying keyframes fill-html for the HTML div, and here we can say 0%, 100%. So from 0 to 100%, and at the beginning we want the width to be 0%, and when it reaches the end of the animation we want the width to be, if I'm not mistaken, 85%. Okay, now if we save this and go back to the browser, we see that our inner div transitions nicely and reaches 85% of the total width of this parent div with the class of progress. Now we just have to create the same thing for the rest of the divs. It's pretty straightforward. So that one will be fill CSS, and it has to be 100% at the end, and then we have fill JS, which will be 75%. Now if I save and go back, we see our progress bars transition nicely, and they reach the maximum we wanted them to be. So that was it, guys. We created those amazing progress bars using just pure CSS. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure you subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next video.